Now, everyone seems to be excited for the new season of The Great British Baking Show because it offers something that other reality cooking shows don't. Besides that, those gorgeous desserts that we see, this hit program could be a new method of relaxation. Even a human rights leader watched the competition to help him decompress after combating global abuse. It sounds counterintuitive, though. I mean, how does a show filled with rivalries, high pressure, all of that intensity of reality TV help viewers de-stress and feel better? Well, today we have Honey Langcaster-James, a TV psychologist, joining us to tell us how this works and if the hype is real. Hi, honey.
Hi.
I feel funny saying that, like, hi, honey.
I didn't
Hello,
know you.
dear.
I didn't know you two knew each other so well.
Okay, so a new season of
parents. That's the problem.
Right, a new season of The Great British Baking Show just began last week. Does this show really, actually, scientifically help viewers relax, or is it just a myth?
Well, I don't know whether there's been any particularly robust scientific or academic studies looking at this. I think it would be difficult to get some grant funding for that. But that said, we do know from other studies that what you watch on television can have an impact on you, and it can have an impact on your mood and your sort of your perception of your own well-being. So we do know that. So people who, for example, watch thrillers and dramas, we know that their heart rate goes up, and they can sort of experience vicariously the kind of stress and the tension. But of course, that can be somewhat unwinding as well, because when we're watching other people go through something that's maybe a little tense, or there's that kind of jeopardy, are they going to win? Are they going to be the star baker? Those kind of moments, when we live them through someone else, we get to kind of enjoy them without feeling the pressure on ourselves. So I think that's one of the things. But the other thing I think that really is so relaxing about a show like Bake Off is that it's relatively gentle. Technically, we're used to seeing lots of things on TV now that are very dramatic, lots of news, negative messaging about the world.
Right.
And so when we take it back just to the kitchen and we're preparing ingredients and we're preparing food, it's something so simple and so essential to everyday life that it kind of brings us back down into being a little bit more mindful about those everyday activities as well. Just looking at someone breaking an egg into a bowl and mixing up the flour, it's very therapeutic, I think, for that reason.
Well, you bring up a really interesting point, because most reality shows or competition shows, they really rely on that interpersonal drama. But on the Great British Baking Show, there really isn't any drama. So I'm wondering, why is it that viewers are still really invested and sitting on the edges of their, seats throughout the whole show, even though there isn't this kind of tension? What do you think it is?
I think, in a way, I think that's part of the escapism of Bake Off. The fact that there isn't really any conflict. I mean, the most dramatic that it might get is if someone accidentally turns somebody's refrigerator off or, something like that. But I think because there isn't that interpersonal tension, and that the competition is very much focused around the skill of the baker or the really beautiful cake or creation that they make, it's almost like you get the pleasure of watching the jeopardy without the tension and awkwardness of it being kind of between the players or the contestants. So I think that's part of what is so gentle and sort of relaxing about watching a show like Bake Off.
Right. You mentioned the contestants being like so nice to each other. And I've noticed that on the show, like if anything happens, like somebody used it, somebody's batter or something, they're super apologetic and they're trying to help them come along, which is just such the antithesis of what you really think of reality TV shows are. Do you think that this is what draws people into watching it because it shows the best of humanity?
I think in some ways, yes. I mean, for a start, it's very much a kind of traditional view of British culture, being sort of uber polite and, being very, very careful with each other's possessions and personal space, and the way that the kind of the kitchen spaces are all laid out so that everybody has got their little area and you don't have to get in anybody's way. I think that's part of it. So it's almost like representing the ideal of how we interact socially with one another, or how we would all like to think that we would interact with each other. Of course, in everyday life, I mean, I don't know what it's like in your kitchen at home, but in my kitchen at home, if people are getting in each other's way, people will get a little bit irritated while they're trying to get some food on the table, and you get crosswords in the kitchen. So I think maybe there is an element of it being that kind of slightly romanticized, cleaned up version of what goes on in the kitchen that's quite pleasurable to watch for that reason. I guess it's the equivalent of like watching a rom-com. We all know that life isn't really like that, and we know that
but we don't care.
The Bake Off doesn't really represent, but we don't care. We want the escapism. We want a break from everyday life, because let's face it, everyday life now, I think, is quite stressful, with the media constantly telling us all of the things that are going wrong. So why not have this kind of antidote and this little window into another world where it's all just about cake and being polite
and getting a nice bake,
gentlemanly towards each other.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So what can we take away? What can we learn from watching the show? Obviously, there is a good handful of us that will never be on the show, that will never get to eat the delicious things that are made. But there definitely are some lessons that we can learn. What are they?
I think maybe the lessons to take away from a show like Bake Off are that actually you can kind of cooperate with other people even when you are in competition with them. I think there are some really nice social messages that come out of a show like Bake Off, a very kind of respectful competitiveness. Just because somebody might do better than you on a particular day, it's a little bit like in everyday life, I think, when we fail at a task or when things don't go our way, we can take it so personally and we can become so wounded by it. Whereas if it's just the case that your cake that day in the oven didn't rise quite as well and you just did a bad bake, it's almost like you can take away from that the message that we all have an off day. And I think that's one of the things that's nice about the Bake Off, that even someone who maybe one of their bakes doesn't come out very well, they're not going to be judged just on the basis of that, but they're going to be looked at, across their performance across the week. And I think we could all learn a lesson from that. So let ourselves make a few mistakes, maybe experiment a little bit in life. It's okay if it doesn't always come out as planned, because you can always have another go. And I think there's some really good life lessons in that.
Absolutely. We're talking with Honey Lancaster-James, who's a well-known TV psychologist, life and career coach, psychotherapist, and media commentator, about the massively popular show, The Great British Baking Show. It's so popular in the UK. The season 6 finale in 2015 was the most watched show on television, with 15.1 million people tuning in. It's obviously something that has jumped the pond and spread into America as well. Taking a step back and commenting as a TV psychologist, do you think that it's healthy to watch shows like the Great British Baking Show to de-stress? Is this a good activity for us to do?
Yeah, I mean, I think, reality TV gets quite a bad rap sometimes. There are elements of reality TV that are undoubtedly maybe need to be looked at and thought about carefully, but something like the Bake Off, it's such a gentle form of entertainment, and it's not controversial. You can watch it with every member of your family, from the young to the very old, and it's very universal. The whole thing about food and about baking and just being sort of polite with one another. I think these are some really universal and sort of acceptable things to watch together as a family. And so for that reason, I think it can be good for you to watch it, because ultimately we all need things to help us unwind and switch off from the realities of our day. We need a bit of a change what we're thinking about. It wouldn't be good if we come home from work and then keep thinking about work and keep thinking about all the difficult challenges in
Right.
life. So I think sometimes taking a break and just switching off and going, look, I'm just going to get into this competition. I'm going to follow it every week. I'm going to see how they do, get invested in those characters. I think it can be a really great form of escapism that the whole family can enjoy. And on a psychological level, I think anything that brings families together around the TV to enjoy something wholesome has got to be a good thing.
Right.
You know, to tag kind of on that question, when we're talking about sweet things and baked and treats and
Richie
all
got
that,
a little distracted.
and gathering as a family, I would feel remiss if I didn't ask you about what your favorite treat that would gather your family around would be.
You know what? We actually do bake, so we do enjoy a little bit of baking. My daughter actually has recently got into baking, which is a great thing because I get to enjoy all these delicious treats. She makes a great banana bread and just things like that. We love to kind of bake at the weekend and maybe share something, a lazy kind of Sunday brunch, that kind of thing. And I think maybe that's something that's sort of lacking in modern life, that maybe we're losing the art of kind of cooking together, sitting together around a meal. It's almost becoming a treat to sit down together as a family and eat together, for some families anyway, because everyone's living such busy lives and people are going off to different things at different times and children are in lots of organized activities. And I think one of the things that maybe is really good and healthy for families is to come together and maybe watch a show like Bake Off, take a little bit of inspiration, and then get the family involved in cooking something, or just for fun, try to recreate something you've seen on the show. Because these kinds of activities can be really good for bonding and just having a bit of a giggle, and seeing the lighter side of life, I think, because it's not something that's going to be the be-all and end-all, whether your biscuits come out well or your taste rises. You can have a little laugh about it as a family. So I think, definitely in my family, it's something we like to do, but perhaps we don't get to do it as much as I would like. We should make it maybe a weekly thing. Every Sunday we'll bake something.
Oh, I like that. I'm going to come over to your house. Are there other?
You're very welcome. We love afternoon tea here. I'm in London, and I love to go for afternoon tea.
Hey, you've got scones and clotted cream. I'm in. I am in. Are there other reality shows or other TV shows that have a similar effect as the Great British Baking Show of relaxing us?
I think, when I think about the reality shows that are particularly relaxing, I think it's true to say that a lot of them do have an element of revolving around food. I just think you have it there in the States, that we have a show here called Come Dine With Me, and it's a show where sort of 4 or 5 people will maybe take over the course of a week. They'll go to each other's houses and take turns to cook a meal. And there's kind of real enjoyment in watching what are they going to cook, how are people going to receive it, are they going to like it, are they going to turn their nose out? And I think there's something so universal about food that we can all relate to, that maybe helps us kind of connect and relate to the characters. So I think those are probably among the more relaxing shows. But other ones as well, things like, we have Strictly Come Dancing here. I think you have Dancing with the Stars. Anything that's kind of light and just entertaining and doesn't really have too much conflict and drama. Those are probably the ones that are more relaxing. But some people do really love a good dramatic reality show with high amounts of conflict and things going on, because it helps them to switch off from their own lives, because they're so absorbing and engaging. So just like with many things in life, it's not that there's one size fits all. Different people will enjoy different types of viewing and different types of shows. And that makes us human. We have our own preferences, so
Absolutely.
it's whatever works for you.
trying to find that method of relaxation using TV as a way to unwind and connect with your family, which I think is a really great reminder for all of us. Thanks for joining us, Honey. Honey Lancaster-James is a well-known TV psychologist, psychotherapist, and media commenter. To find out more about her work, you can follow her on Twitter at Honey L. James.
Now, coming up, we're going to talk with someone who builds